Hey guys, Gareth here, and today I want to talk about herniated and bulging discs and whether you can train when you're suffering with them. And the simple answer is yes you can. So there's a few key steps that you need to take in order to get there first. Here at Move to Perform, we don't recommend that you jump straight back into what you were doing before, as this will be too much too soon. We recommend you first of all will start with some isometric holds, just to get yourself used to the bracing and muscle activation and stabilization around the spine so that you don't aggravate your injury. Right guys, so we'd recommend isometric holds as your first port of call after bulging a disc or herniating a disc. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to lie down on our back on the floor. So you're going to keep your feet as close to your bum as you can, and then you're going to cross one leg. So it doesn't matter where it is, it can be here, it can be naturally out here. The position of this leg doesn't really matter. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep the ankle nice and secure here on the other leg, and you're going to brace against the knee with your hand. So it doesn't matter again, either straight arm or bent arm, either way it's fine. But you're just going to brace, and then you're just going to gently push that knee into the hand. So you're going to brace the core, you're going to use the hip muscles to really just give that a gentle push, and you can build up the intensity over time. So this is just reintroducing muscle activation, muscle control, and a little bit of tension in and around the spine. Just relax and contract for about 10 seconds each, and do it on both legs. So you'll do one side and then the other. So again, about 10 seconds. So there you have it, that's the first exercise. Give that a go, especially if the injury is relatively recent and you haven't yet started back into exercising. Next, we recommend you find movements you can do. So good alternatives. So we wouldn't recommend that you jump straight back into a back squat, for example. So you can still load the lower body and the glutes, and encouraging the bracing of the core and protection of the spine without adding too much compression stress on the spine itself. So I'm going to cover an alternative to a standard movement that you would do at the gym, which is squat, and that's obviously something that you can't do if you've herniated your disc or bulged it in any way at all, especially initially. So a good alternative for that is a weighted lunge, but you can just start with a body weight lunge. So what you want to do is you want to stand with your feet directly under your hips, toes pointing forward, nice and neutral position, nice and open. From there you're going to step forward, keeping that foot in line with the hip. You're going to bend your knees so they bend both at 90 degrees. And you're going to just touch the floor very gently. So once you build up past body weight and introduce a little bit of weight, so say 2 dumbbells or kettlebells, obviously light to start with, in each hand, this starts to hit the lower body the exact same way a squat does. Obviously you have to make sure you do both sides, but it will still activate and grow your quads, your glutes and your hamstrings. So you'll still be able to work out your lower body, but without having to load a heavy barbell on your back. We would then recommend that you introduce hinging movements slowly. So build up to things like deadlifts, stiff leg deadlifts, good mornings, anything that involves hinging the upper body. Next up, we've got introducing hinge movements. So this can be a bit of a difficult one because people will instantly go to try and, even with an empty bar, start deadlifting or doing good mornings. So what we like to do is take a little step back from that. So we're going to do a split leg good morning. The reason for the split leg stance is that you're not introducing a full shearing force when you forward bend. What you're doing is you're having a little bit of weight back in the supporting leg, so it's just a little bit gentler on the spine as you go. You just have to make sure and do both sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand on a nice neutral position again, feet directly under the hips. Then you're going to step forward one step and step back one step. So you're in a relatively long lunge. From there you're going to make sure and keep the hips nice and square. You're going to cross your hands in front of your chest or have them on your waist, whatever you prefer. And you're just going to hinge forward with a nice neutral spine and neutral head as far as you can So don't go into pain. Discomfort's fine, but don't go into pain. Just hinge forward until you feel the pull of the injury. And over time, as you're getting more comfortable, you can shorten the length of the lunge as that increases the shear force of the spine on the spine whenever you bend over. So make sure and do both legs, and that's a good alternative to going straight back into deadlifts, go straight back into good mornings, things like that. Just helps you build up that resilience. Finally, on your journey to full exercise again, we'd recommend introducing the spinal range of movement slowly. Just get used to moving the spine in all the ranges of motions that it should move in. So what we need to do here is build up the control over each section of the spine so that you can move it in the way it's supposed to move, safely, confidently, and most importantly, pain-free. So what you're going to do is a thing called spinal waves. Now these can be done standing, they can be done against a wall, they can be done lying on the floor. You know, there's loads of different variations on them, but the first one I like to introduce is on all fours. So you're going to make a box shape with your knees directly under your hips and your arms directly under your shoulders. From there, you keep your head nice and neutral. Then you're going to posteriorly tuck your pelvis. You're going to tuck your bum under. And that's going to send off a wave that goes up your back, vertebrae by vertebrae, pushing your spine to the roof. And then you're going to reverse it. So the pelvis starts to arch, and it goes to the roof, causing a wave to travel up your back to your head, so that your belly button pushes to the floor, and then again it reverses, so the pelvis tucks under again, all the way back up to the top of the head. So that's the first introduction to spinal waves that we would do. We can then move them rotationally, and then we start introducing things like zenith rotations, things like that. But that'll be the first one that you would do. So give that a go. So there you go, guys. That's the 4 steps to get back into training after herniating or bulging a disc. I know it's an uncomfortable process. It can take a long time, but if you approach it with the right steps and the right mindset, you'll get back into training quicker than if you just wallow. So really, it's all about getting there, getting the work started, and taking the right approach.